subject matter for this week was like a lot of great information, but packed into just 4 videos and the wrap up. But it was I reviewed it all again this morning and was very re-impressed again, because obviously I was there for a lot of that filming and helped write some of the content, and some of it is just very life-changing in terms of learning newer ways or more up-to-date ways of doing things. Now, a lot of that is translatable based on your area that you do buyers in, and what state you're in, and your purchase contract, and all of those other things. So let's see. Hey, Gina, it looks like Teresa Zoki might have gone to the wrong. I don't know if you can text her.
I will.
Okay, because I'm getting links on my notifications saying that people are going to my other personal Zoom meeting.
Okay.
Let's see. All right. So I took some notes, and I want to get started with our talk today on RAMP with Rick. I am on the right link, right? Everybody? Yes, I am.
Yes,
on the
you
right
are.
link. Okay, good. All right. So the scroll that they reference, oh, there she is. The scroll that we referenced this time is scroll number 7, which is I will laugh at the world. And I really like this one. And it's always sometimes surprising to me which scroll they're using. And you might think, why are we using the scroll I will laugh at the world when we're talking about buyers and how to work better with buyers? And it's because, well, first, there's only 10 scrolls. And second, it's because, let's be honest, if you are not laughing at the world when you're working with buyers, if you're not being able to laugh and make fun with what you're doing, the fact is you're probably going to drive yourself batty. All right. So I'm going to read a couple of these. It says, I will laugh at the world. No living creature can laugh except man. Trees may bleed when they are wounded, and beasts in the field will cry in pain and hunger, yet only I have the gift of laughter, and it is mine to use whenever I choose. Henceforth, I will cultivate the habit of laughter. Now, he goes on to say that it says here, this is one of my favorite parts of this one. Henceforth will I shed only tears of sweat, for those tears of sadness or remorse or frustration are of no value in the marketplace, whilst each smile can be exchanged for gold, and each kind word spoken from my heart can build a castle. This is really important, in my opinion, in the act of working with buyers, because our biggest things to do is make the buyers have an enjoyable experience, help the buyers to have an enjoyable experience. And when I read a lot of the content and some of this book, I'm going to go to my notes real quick here. I took them on my iPad. What I was intrigued about was the different number of ways that they wanted us to talk. Like, they had a getting to know you form. And let me share my screen with you. Laura Lee, it's good to see you. Let's see, where is my, hold on. They had this, the copy of the buyer questionnaire. Can you all see my screen? Just give me a thumbs up if you can see it. Okay. So you got this buyer questionnaire that you could download right there in there, right? To get the right information. Those are the kinds of things that are really going to be important for you, as long as as long as you like them. Remember, these can be all altered to feel good for you. They don't have to be the exact same form. And then, of course, we had, wait, where'd that go? The home buying process, which is in the form of a PowerPoint, meeting the team, all these different things that they're doing. All of these different parts of the buying process were in here for us, so that you start to understand what's important. A lot of your local title companies or whatever it is you use can get you buyer booklets or buyer's guides, whatever. Use the resources that are around you. And of course, use the resources that Workman is giving you for free in this content. Okay. One of the things that they talked about is, of course, the importance of a buyer consultation. And I'm going to come out and ask you guys some questions really quickly, but I really wanted to review quickly what happened in week 5. And in the buyer consultation, I mean, I was doing them in the 80s, 90s. I really felt like I had things mastered in the 90s because I was attending a lot of classes, learning to be better as a real estate agent, even my 15th, 16th, 17th years, while I was managing a real estate office. And the reason I say that is I learned to break it down to rapport building. That was the first thing I did. How did you guys, you got a husband and wife sitting in front of you with their kid. How did you guys meet? Right? Oh, you met in Indiana in college. Great. How did you end up in Fremont, California? All of these different things. And then one of the questions was, why did you decide that buying is important now rather than at some point in the past or another point in the future? What made now the right time for you? Asking what we call exploring and open-ended questions. Exploring and open-ended questions, my friends, are ones that don't and cannot be answered with yes or no. Okay, you don't want to ask yes or no questions. You guys serious about buying a house? Yep. That's not an open-ended or exploring question. So one of the things I wrote down is what brought you to this decision, right? I can remember one year, it was 1997 or 8, where the buyer said, well, the market seems to be more amenable to me buying a house today than ever. And I was like, oh, that's a really good answer. Can you tell me why you feel it's more amenable? And he started talking about interest rates and things like that. So you knew the guy had done his research, right? One of the things that we do in the personal development world is we listen for energy words. Now think about what an energy word is, okay? Most of the time, if I'm talking to a buyer and they start saying, well, we do get a lot of family gatherings, so I want that family room to be bigger. I want the kitchen to be in the back of the house overlooking the backyard because I want to watch the kids when they're out there playing. So what am I hearing? The energy word is family, togetherness. Those are energy words that are popping up even when she's not saying the word family. So a lot of that is helping the buyer discover why buying a home is so important to them, and you really listening. Now, I've often shared in many classes over the years that something that happened to me in 1996, where a couple had moved here from the East Coast and was adamant that they did not buy a 2-story home. I had trouble finding them what they were looking for in a 1-story home. And on one weekend, they went into an open house and they called me and go, oh my gosh, we found this open house. And I pull it up and it's a 2-story home. And I go, I'm a little confused, but I'm going to take the blame. That's what I said. I probably didn't understand you well. And what they knew 2-story homes to be because of their time on the East Coast was not what our 2 stories were. And I still, to this day, I'm 41 and a half years, still don't understand what happened. But I think that their impression of a 2-story home was something called a split level or a tri-level, meaning where you came in the house and you went down to the family room and up to the kitchen or whatever. But they ended up buying a 2-story house. Now, the point there is that the better we listen and the more questions we ask, the more we succeed. What we default to as real estate agents is saying stuff. If I say this, they'll love me. No, if I ask them questions and dig out what they're looking for, and I become the answer or the facilitator to their dreams and what they're looking for, they're always going to like me. They're always going to refer me. They're always going to trust me. All right. I got a call from an 86-year-old lady the other day. I'd met her once. Now, her house is probably worth $2 million. She's lived in it for probably 50 years or more. And her husband passed away recently, and she's getting advice from an attorney and a financial planner. All right. And her daughter, who's my age, in her 60s, reminded her remember when you had Rick over about 15 years ago, just to give you an idea of value? I think he's really the best guy to talk to you about some of this stuff. She called me to tell me that she doesn't trust her attorney and doesn't trust her financial planner, but wants to hear my impression. And at the end of the call, I had determined that she didn't need an attorney or a financial planner. She needed to talk to a CPA. And I said, I can introduce you to mine. And she said, could you? And I realized in the moment that she said, could you? At 86 years old, losing her sight, loud as heck on the phone, right? Definitely has all her senses together, because she was saying, not sure where I would invest that money, or, you know, all those kinds of things. I called the CPA for her. And I asked the CPA, I said, I want you to bill me. Got all her questions answered, called them back and gave them to her. Now she's calling me saying, I need you to refer me to a better financial planner. I need you to refer me to a better attorney, like things like that. That's building up where people know, love, and trust you, or know, like, and trust you. Okay. I felt really good about that. So, I mean, this just happened this last week. Every once in a while we get a little something that encourages us and says, see, you're not that bad. You're actually pretty good. And that's what we need. We need to be able to feel better about ourselves and our ability to do our job. Now, we have been getting, I've been getting from somebody that I recently recruited to EXP, a lot of talk about, why aren't you teaching me how to do a buyer broker agreement? I go, because that's not in my lane. I wouldn't be able to teach you that because I've never used them and I don't know how to use them. And she goes, well, shouldn't I? And I go, look, if I told you not to, that would not be good on the coaching part of me, because buyer brokers agreements are very effective if you know how to get them filled out and signed. I've just always been lousy at it. So I surrendered, and I don't do buyer broker agreements. I do loyalty speeches with my clients, right? I do a buyer consultation that really emphasizes loyalty and commitment. And she asked me to give her some of the wording in that, but she really wants to do it. But guess what I loved about, she's in RAMP. She's not on the call today, but what I loved about this week is they talked about the buyer broker agreement and how to use it and how to be effective at it. Did anybody get something from that? Share with me now while we can what you got from this week's videos and stuff like that. Just unmute yourself and start chatting.
I use them, Rick, but I use it in somewhat the vein you're talking about. I talk to them about it being a loyalty agreement. I explain, you know, how I get paid. And yeah, my loyalty to them is the read. Of course, I don't call it the read to them. And then I also have in my buyer broker agreement that they can fire me at any time prior to being under contract. All I require is something in writing, you know, telling me how I could improve, you know, where I wouldn't have been fired.
Yeah.
So far, I haven't been fired, thank goodness.
Good for you. I think that's really a good learning point right there, is that, you know, I took listings in my career where I had to, for the sake of the listing, put seller may cancel this listing at any time with 2 weeks written notice to the realtor, right? And we did that. Why? To earn the business and let them learn to trust you if they didn't have full trust at the time. So good for you, Carla. That's really a great idea, is to write in there, you can cancel at any time. Just give me notice of why you're canceling and what I could do to be better next time. Awesome. All right. Yeah, so that's a big deal. I mean, I love the way they handled purchase contract. This RAMP is being watched by people all over the country of Canada, in all of the provinces and every state in the United States. So you got to know that they got to be very general about the purchase contract. I was amused that the purchase contract video was only 6 minutes long. And that's because all they can say is, here's the staple points that should be in your purchase contract, but each state's going to have a different one. But I can tell you that the one thing that my uncle taught me about real estate is you had to know the contract. You had to know it well. And if you don't, you are more likely to get yourself in trouble unless you're just showing property and somebody else is writing the offer for you and explaining it. One of the things that I like doing with buyers is handing them a blank copy of the contract with a highlighter and say, you know, when we finally find the home of your dreams, we're going to be in too much of a hurry to get it for you to go over every single thing in this contract. So I'm going to give you a blank copy right up front with a highlighter. And I want you to tonight or tomorrow night, start to read it and highlight anything that you feel uncomfortable about that you'd like more explanation on. Again, another reason for them to love you, know, love, and trust you more, because you're bringing everything out up front. one of the girls on our daily huddle today, Leslie, said, I'm spending more time educating my client about the process. There is nothing you could do to save you more time on the other end, to save you headaches and everything by educating your client up front. In other words, every hour that you spend educating your client up front about the process saves 2 to 3 hours on the other end. Okay. So understanding the process, understanding what's the norm. Like in Northern California right now, the norm is that almost every seller needs time after close of escrow, after they have their money, to stay in the house, called rent back, or, you know, that kind of thing. So it's important that your buyer know that that might be a big part of the home they're buying, things like that. I wrote here in my notes, sorry, let me pull them up again. I wrote here in my notes that one of the things that I talked about to a client the other day was one of our buyers for one of our buyers agents on the team. And one of the things that I recommended to them, considering they had so many detail-oriented questions, I said, oh, the seller had put railroad noise was occasionally heard in the neighborhood. And so they were asking me, well, what do you think about that? I go, I have not been to the neighborhood. I said, what I would suggest is anytime you're thinking about buying a home, maybe drive onto the street at different parts of the day, turn your engine off, roll your windows down, and what do you hear? Wait about 15, 20, maybe even 30 minutes and see, what do you hear? I tell people, look, if you see people out doing their gardening on a Saturday morning, pull over, say, hi, my name's John. I'm thinking of buying a house in this neighborhood, and I was wondering if you'd be willing to be honest with me about what you like and don't like about living in this neighborhood. I've never heard about somebody say, get in your car and drive off, buddy, before I shoot you. No one ever says that. They answer their question, right? And you can always tell when you get Gladys Kravitz from Bewitched, you know, the nosy neighbor. She, I'll tell you everything about this neighborhood, you know, and then you learn things you didn't really even want to know. But so it's really important that we do that. The other thing that I wrote on here to remind me is when I look at working with a buyer, I want them to know my unique selling proposition. And Verl said that in the wrap up, unique selling proposition. And the unique selling proposition is basically, it could be just a saying that you've created when around 2005, 2006, 2007, I was traveling the country teaching a class on unique selling propositions. And we were, you know, I had a lady, people would say, well, how do you come up with it? So, right, we had a cop, for instance. I remember having a cop in a class I did in Connecticut, right? And looking out for your his unique selling proposition, he built it off of his cop career, and said, looking out for your well-being in real estate, right? Kind of goes together because he was a cop, right? There was a lady in the class, she was Asian. Her name was Yo-Yo, right? You know, what we ended up coming up with her unique selling proposition was avoid the ups and downs in real estate, call Yo-Yo. You get it? Like yo-yo, up and down. No, nobody's got it. You're all asleep. Okay. We had a lady that was, her whole life, she was an electrical engineer, the lady was. So we said her unique selling proposition was engineering your success in real estate. Ties into her neighborhood, right? You can tie into your name, you can tie into your past, but come up with a unique selling proposition. All right. Your unique selling proposition, your mission statement, they can all go together, right? Our mission statement on the Rick Jihad team is improve the lives of all we serve. We can mention that. Or I've had so many, making you feel at home. That was one of my unique selling propositions, making you feel at home, which kind of had a play of what my mom used to do. She was always entertaining, making people feel at home. That was part of my Lebanese culture, making you feel at home. And now it really goes well with real estate, right? And then I had one where it said, you know, where I think we did knowledge. No, it was integrity, know-how, and one other thing. I forget. It was so many years ago. Where now, and recently we were saying where excellence and experience matter. That's another one. So think about your unique selling proposition and build up on it when you're with the buyer. Recently, we've had a new buyer's agent on our team. When she was receiving a lead by email, she replied to the lead and said, I'm so excited to learn about you and what you need. I hope that you'll tell me 1 or 2 different times that will work for you so that we can get together by phone, on Zoom, or in person. Then she goes on, until we meet, let me tell you a little bit about myself. And at the first time I saw that, I go, And then I saw it the second time and I'm like, this is actually pretty good. It's a good way for you to put out a little bit about yourself by email when you're learning about a referral before you get to talk to them. And it actually, on her first buyer referral, she's now like close personal friends with the lady. She's been working with her for 2 weeks. And because she's new, she needed my help and our lead buyer specialist, Cindy's help. And I said, how are you explaining all the different people she's talking to? She said, oh, easy. I tell them we're a team. We work in a collaborative environment and everybody has an area of specialty. And that's why you'll be talking to different people, not just me. Right? This lady's brand new in real estate. So it worked really well for that situation. So you've got to be thinking about working with them and understanding your unique selling proposition. If you're on a team, it's okay, guys. The team could have a unique selling proposition. You can use that or your own. It's all right, depending on what your team rules are. Okay. And then let's see, I think that's all the notes I have on that. And I wanted to check real quick here. I did have one more saying I wanted to read you from the booklet, but I would like to talk about a little bit, since there's a lot more of you on the call right now, a lot more people have jumped on. I'd love for you all to share with me now we're at the end of week 5. And let's be honest, this week didn't have a lot of homework. Would you agree? Anybody? It was mostly going through the 2 forms that they sent us and then understanding the process, but not really a lot of like, I had to do homework. I just really needed to learn from what they said. Does anybody agree or disagree with me? Okay, I'm going to take that as we all agree with you, Rick, and you're perfect. Now, the thing that the first one was showing like a pro. I have a new buyer, working with buyers in the buyer process and knowing your way around the contract. But I think the main thing that you want to understand is that nothing that they said is automatic or consistent. You're going to come across every day, you're going to come across a buyer that blows your mind or does something that you've never heard of. I have several of my personal sales team on the call, and they will tell you that the kind of buyers and the issues we have come up with in the last year and a half since COVID are not things I've experienced in any other market that I've been in over the 41 plus years. So you've got to understand that you're in a constantly learning mode. And I remember him saying I think it was Sarah, one of the speakers, Sarah on the videos said, it's okay to say, I don't know, but I will get back to you very shortly with the correct information. Because sometimes, I had one brother-in-law that came into real estate when I was managing the office in the 90s. He had gotten fired from his job at FedEx. And so he kind of fell back into real estate. And I remember saying, you've been in the office a lot every day this week, and I don't see you getting out and about. And he goes, I wouldn't be out and about. I'm still learning. I can't go out there until I know everything. I go, whoa, buddy, take a step backwards. You are never going to know everything. So just go out there and fail your way into success. And he didn't get that, nor did he like it. But that's a behavioral thing. That's a personality thing. But let's be honest. Stuff's going to happen in this business that's going to set you back and have you question your own abilities. That's why you need to lean. Were any of you on the last call I just did on business planning? Okay. I kept saying in there, our issues with not asking for help are huge. We got to ask for help. We got to go to someone else. And it doesn't have to be someone with more experience than you, because no matter who you go to, they're going to have a different perspective than you. And you can't see that perspective because you're embroiled in the situation. You're buried in the middle of it. It's a perfect reason to reach out to others. Collaboration, masterminding, accountability, awareness are so big in real estate, and nobody really spends a lot of time talking about it. All of those things that you could do just by having a conversation. Believe me, I said it on the call. Cindy called me last night. Cindy's been in real estate for 4.5 years, been on my team the whole time. I'm in 41.5 years. And why did you tell that buyer to offer full price? That was not a good idea. Like she's telling me. And I listened to her and I thought, oh my God, I didn't consider that or that or that. And I realized she was correct. Okay. So hungry, humble, smart, and coachable. Said it on the other call. If we remained hungry, humble, smart, and coachable. And being humble means you'll be willing to ask for help. Being smart means you'll be smart enough to know asking for help is a good thing. So, all right. I would like to know this. End of 5 weeks. A lot of stuff is under the bridge. Maybe take a moment over the weekend to go back over 5 weeks and see what you haven't finished. See what didn't sink in. It's always good to do a review, right? We've got 13 weeks. One of them is a blank week, which is so really 12 weeks of this. Day after Thanksgiving, which I know is still 2 months away, is we won't be doing a call. But what I want you to be thinking about is this: what successes have you had as a result of what you've learned in 5 weeks of Ramp? Now, I asked that a couple weeks ago, and we had that Ryan gentleman who had, started making his top 50 phone calls and had done very well as a result of it, and actually picked up a couple million in business. But I'd really like you guys to open up right now and share with me, what have you done as a result of watching Ramp that maybe you wouldn't have done otherwise, and you've had a success because of it? I've got all day.
Hey, Rick, it's Teresa.
Hi, honey.
Hi. I think for me, it was from the beginning of it, is just getting that business plan was great. Like, it really helped me sort through all my thoughts. And
Oh, you were on the business plan today, the workbook?
yeah, I just did it just to listen. I mean, I already did it, right? Like, obviously, but I did this, but I'm talking about, so you just said from the beginning of it all, right? What has helped, I think for me, is putting my top 50 together.
Yeah.
Because I always think, oh, I've got it. Then I'm like, no, there's this person and there's that person. Like, it really made me think about the importance of top 50. So that's been great.
That's awesome. And Teresa, it's really funny. I don't share this a lot with a lot of people, but she's on here and she'll get the kudos. But Gina had a top 50 a year and a half before she even got a real estate license. And at the time she did her top 50, she wasn't doing it. She had no plans on getting a real estate license. She was just doing it because she kept hearing me talk about it. And she thought, well, because she was bringing 2, 3 deals, 4 deals, 5 deals a year to the team every year.
Oh, right.
Because when she first started with me, I was pretty much alone. I had Marissa, but it was just really mostly me and Gina all the time. And
right.
And so she just kept hearing this stuff over and over again. But yeah, getting your top 50 together. And I don't want to downplay the importance of having a big SOI, sphere of influence, a big database from which to draw the top 50 out of. The top 50 doesn't just appear out of midair. It should be a subsection of something you already have, a large network. So good for you.
And Mary was instrumental too. I will tell you that I had her look at it. That was huge.
Did she? Good.
Yeah, that was good. So
and she has a lot of people too that could be on her top 50 or yours. So
absolutely.
Yeah. And that's a good lesson for any of you guys that have assistants. If they're your assistant, you're paying them, just ask them, who's your top 50? Who's the people you could possibly get at least one referral a year from. So, all right, April.
Yeah, actually it goes back to the top 50. So I've had the pleasure of being licensed for 18 years. And I think we
did you say that sarcastically or you meant that? So.
No, actually I do mean it. I have 3 kids, so it's tough. I see some parents and individuals that work 9 to 5, especially like my sister, and have to take off work and feel the anxiety with that. So it's nice to know that 2 o'clock I can go pick up my daughter and we can go have ice cream if I want, and then I can go show property. It's nice. I mean, it comes with the stress, as we know.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. So I do, because I was Keller Williams for about 6 years. So we did the big rocks. And so it's kind of the same thing as a top 50, but I never really dove really in detail on that. We did every now and then I paid attention to the home sale anniversaries, but I never did something every single month for them. Just to kind of, they came in waves, I guess you can say, right? So since doing the top 50, I'm not done with my top 50 because I'm still kind of going through it. But I had a client that I didn't get their anniversary and their birth date, and they actually fall in the same month or in the same week. And I sent her a flower cake and last minute because I realized what day it was. And I got 2 referrals from her the next day. And then I got pictures of all the stuff that she had done inside the house. Because I do try to keep up with the clients, but now focusing on the systems of that you guys provided made it easier for me to kind of customize each one to see what I wanted to do. So
Right.
that's trickled down with to my team. So
Yeah.
that's going to be one of my top things that I'm going to do for next year.
Good for you. That's really good. And so let's pick up where what you just talked about. How many of the people on my database after 41 and a half years of real estate and all the nonprofit work I did had a home when I became their realtor or when I assumed to be their realtor? Almost all of them. Like they were already living in a house that they owned. And a lot of people would say, well, you didn't sell it to them. How do you know the anniversary? Well, believe me, we're in a period where public information is public as heck. And there's all kinds of information. There's no reason. So let's say April has kids. What's the age of your youngest right now, April?
5.
Good. So 5 years old. She probably knows a lot of other moms that also have 5-year-olds because they all run in the same circle. Well, most of those 5-year-old moms did not buy their house from April. Let's be honest, right? So she can still, they're part of a mom's group. So April adds them to their database. People say, this is a question I've been getting since the 80s. Oh, you just add people to your database without getting their permission? And I go, yeah. And I've had 10 in 40 years say, take me off your database, 10 in 40 years. All right, that's 1 every 4 years. So go with it, guys. They are very easily able to unsubscribe if they want. All right. We have thousands now that get 2 emails a month, and we probably get a request for unsubscription maybe twice a month with thousands on there. Okay.
It's interesting that you said that, Rick, because my daughter, the kids are, they spill the beans on other kids.
Yes.
She'll leave and she'll be like, Nikki, give me a hug. And she's like, that's Nikki's grandma. She lives with grandma, and they'll just keep going. So I do find that it's a great opportunity then to introduce myself to them. Right. And then move from there. So yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Right. And I used to incentivize my boys when they were old enough to understand, like 10, 12, 13 years old. You know, if you guys hear of anybody saying garage sale or I'm moving or anything, you come home and tell me their name. How are you going to know their name, Dad? And I go, if you just tell me their name, I'll find out where their parents live and I'll go knock on that door. Right. And I told them they get $250. And I swear it, 3 years later, my younger son comes home from work and he goes, you know Sarah? And I go, yeah, her dad's a realtor. And he goes, he gives her $500. I'm like, you little butthead, right? So, but yes, that kind of awareness. But the reason I said that is that there's always these things. There's the birthday of each of the significant others, right? Or whatever is in the family. I always had a habit of writing down the birthdays if I got them from them of the kids, but all I would do is when I would make my regular calls to them, I'd say, oh, last week was your daughter's birthday, right? Like you're not calling the daughter and wishing her happy birthday at 12 years old, but you're telling the parents, oh, isn't it your daughter's birthday? That means you know you're paying attention. But searching out people's home anniversary, the close of escrow on theirs is a big deal. I'm not consistent with it, but it pops up in my calendar for a lot of them. Unfortunately, when we were putting our calendar, we weren't putting enough information in there. So it's sometimes a struggle. That was years ago. So constantly building on these systems is really good, guys. So thank you, April, for bringing that up. Now, did this flower cake thing happen like recently or?
Yeah, her wedding date, her wedding anniversary was on the 27th and her birthday was on the 29th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. And I try my best. Like when I talk to my clients, I let them know that typically my clients turn into friends, like your family after this.
Yeah.
So I do have a lot of conversations with them at least the year after. I've got to get better with after.
After the 1 year is up. Yeah.
After the 1 year. Yeah. Because I knew that they were planning on getting married before, because I sold them the house, obviously. So I followed up because I was like, hey, I didn't get an invite. So it was kind of like a haha, funny. I'm upset I didn't get an invite. And then the conversation, she's like, oh yeah, we kind of just went and did it kind of thing. And you know, and we started talking about the house, and I was like, but I didn't get your birth dates or whatever. And
Right.
so then she sent me the birth dates, and then I was like, wow, that's in a week. Good timing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and the one thing that my wife does really good in her industry, which is network marketing, but it's still sales, right? Instantly when she hangs up with somebody, she goes into her calendar instantly and calendars, puts it in a calendar as this is the next time I'll talk to him. Like before she walks away from that, call ends immediately. And she does most of it on her phone. I can't do that. I got to go into my computer and do it. But she goes into her phone and schedules the next call for herself. Even if she didn't set it up with the client, she says, this is when I'm checking in on her next. And we can do that really easily. I mean, in the old days, we just had a card file, right? I had two. I had one that was 1 through 31. That was the little cards in them. And the other one was each of the months, the 12 months. All right. So when January 1st rolled around, I'd go to the card file, take out every little 3x5 card that said I needed to make a call in January, and then I would distribute it by which day they was going to make the call into the 1 through 31. Very old fashioned way, but even in today's world, it would still work very easily, right? You'd say, oh, these are all the people on my database I'm going to call in January. So they all bunch into my January 3x5 card. And then when January gets here, I take them out and I distribute them into my 1 through 31 because I would put on the card, oh, I need to call this person on January 8th or whatever. One of the things I love about Workman was introducing to me way back when the the concept of ABCs, you know, the leads. Your leads are an A lead, a B lead, or a C lead, meaning they're buying now. If they're an A lead, you're talking to them all the time about the next appointment, the next showing. If they're a B lead, they're going to buy between 30 and 90 days, and you're calling them twice a month. Remember, you're not always calling them to say, ready now. You're calling them to bring them some value, right? You're not talking necessarily about, you already know they're not buying right now, but you might just say, hey, just wanted you to know the interest rate slipped a little bit. That's great for you. Hope you're staying in touch with your lender. Let me know if I can do anything, those kinds of things. And then your C leads are 90 days or more. And those you check in once a month. Hope I didn't drop the ball. Just want to see if everything was okay with you, you know, those kinds of things. So, all right. So yeah, I love how this ramp thing builds up because it's building your talents and your skill set so that by the time you get to week 6, you're doing a certain amount of things, right? So it's really, really a big deal. Thank you, April, for sharing, and appreciate that. And Teresa also. Does anybody else have an experience, something that has happened for you recently that you could give credit to Ramp for it having happened? Okay. All right. Okay, so it's just about 10:40. I want to read one more part about the book. The scroll, I Will Laugh at the World. He goes in to say, this too shall pass. Those four words I will train myself to say until they become a habit so strong that immediately they will appear in my mind whenever good humor threatens to depart from me. These words will carry me through every adversity and maintain my life in balance. This too shall pass. So, there's a lot of good nuggets of gold in this particular chapter. In this particular scroll, there's another scroll that says, I will control something about emotions. I will control my emotions. I forget which one it was, but they're all really, really good, but they all relate to, oh yeah, today I will be the master of my emotions, which was scroll number 6, right before I will laugh at the world, because your emotions can actually dictate your ability to move forward. We can be frozen by our emotions. We can be driven by our emotions. You've heard me say on a call a couple of weeks ago that if my wife and I get into an argument about something and I get mad, I tend to clean the house really, really well. And I used to say sometimes my wife was getting me mad on purpose so that the house would be immaculate, right? Your emotions can be very driving for you if you control them, if you're the master of your emotions. And I think I said this on that call a couple of weeks ago, that my favorite saying about emotions is, and listen to it because once you hear it and you think about what it means, you're like, absolutely. The saying goes like this: emotions are like kids. You don't want them driving the car, but you don't want to stuff them in the trunk either. Okay, so think about that. Emotions are like kids. You don't want them driving the car, but you don't want to stuff them in the trunk. That means you don't want them controlling your day, but you also don't want to pretend they're not there. You get that? So when you think about that with emotions, you say, I'm going to be the master of my emotions. That means I will not let them control me. I will use them to the benefit of me and my customers and my business and my future, right? So Think about that. Like I know now when I get mad, or I get, there's times that it's not so much mad, it's maybe frustrated or disappointed in myself. That drives me forward more quickly. All right. So you can use it in a very, like I always used to say, use your powers for good, use your emotions for good. So, all right. That's all I've got on week 5. I am going to ask you all to please be in collaboration, be in accountability, find somebody on these calls or somebody else that you know. Most of you are, well, I think all of you are with EXP. Ask your organization leader, the person above you, who else is doing ramp. I'd love to brainstorm with them. You know that we have almost 200 people signed up for ramp. On average, we have between 30 and 60 people on the call, which means a lot of people aren't even getting on the calls, but they're doing ramp or signed up for it. Find someone and meet with them and say, what are you doing? Where are you? Oh, it's week 5, but you're still on week 3. Okay, you're driving, you're doing your own success. It's okay. Any improvement on a day-by-day basis. It's not about what you're doing. It's not, I always like to say, it's not a marathon. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So enjoy the process and allow it to learn from it. So, all right. Okay. Anything else from anybody? All right. Well, thank you guys for jumping on. I appreciate it. We're sending out the Gina. Is Gina on here still? Or is she gone? I think she's gone, but I think we send out the recording and the new letter every Monday. I think we've been sending it saying, hey, we just had our call Friday. Here's the recording for this. It's not on our regular YouTube channel because it's exclusive to empirebuilders.pro. The other thing I want to remind all of you, are you using empirebuilders.pro, that site? There is so much on there. I talked to somebody the other day and I said, well, that's on empirebuilders.pro. Oh, and she goes, what about this? And I said, that's on empirebuilders.pro. So if you go under the tab called resources, my team meeting every Tuesdays at every first and third Tuesday at 1 p.m. That's just the team, the Rick G. Howe real estate team, but a lot of other EXP people jump on just to kind of see what we're doing and what we're masterminding about. Then we have our mentoring call, which is the first and third Wednesdays at 3 p.m. And then our free Friday coaching call, first and third Fridays at 9 a.m. all California time. And when you go in there, the link to jump on those is right there. Okay. I had put, most of you know who Gina is by now. You can always email empirebuilders.pro@gmail.com, empirebuilders.pro@gmail.com, and that'll go to Gina and my wife, and they'll make sure you get whatever you need if you don't have it. Okay. Really wanting to sort of be an answer to all things that are going on for you. And some of them have nothing to do with EXP. The free Friday coaching call is open to people from every country. We've got people, Canada, US, we've got people show up on that are from South Africa and Australia also. Or listen to the recording. Sometimes they're on, sometimes they're not. So anything I can help with, I really want to help with. All right. So make sure you let us know. You have that email address. And of course, we have Workman Success Systems behind us. So we're willing to do whatever we can do to help. All right. Okay, everybody. Take care. Want to hear more success stories next time, everybody. So keep adding them up. Talk to you all later. Bye-bye.